I would charge, and when I would put my pricing out there or say a price, I just felt like I would feel icky because I felt
I
like,
want to throw up. I say it all the time.
I've only been doing this for like 2 years. I don't think I can ask for that much.
And welcome back to the Riley Black Project with Crystal and John.
Hey.
I had to think there for a minute because I've been doing so many podcasts, and it's a little weird being on this side and not punching and not doing
the producer
anything.
anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you're still the producer, but here you have to do it all.
But here I do all that stuff after the fact,
right?
Instead of while it's going on. So to just
maybe someday
to record, I won't
whatever
have to do any
producer we hire, they can do that stuff for you.
I totally plan that, and then I just get to sit here and talk.
Right.
So this episode is brought to you by...
it's brought to you by Katie with Monarch Pine. If you're looking for jewelry findings or blanks, check out her new website, monarchpine.com, and make sure to use code RileyBlack for 10% off. Of course, if you're a patron, you get a bigger discount, so I'll pass that over to you.
Yeah, while we're speaking about patrons, if you are a Patreon member, be sure to... follow to join the TRBP Hangout Facebook group. That's where we do our After Darks. Have all the codes for
I need to update those.
She needs to update the codes for the bonus.
I'll get there.
Discounts. But if you're not a patron, which you will be soon, I'm sure. You can also join the Riley Black Project community Facebook group, and in there we do once a quarter. We do
one
an After
for
Dark.
everybody.
It's kind of I wouldn't say it's a PG, like PG-13. Like it gets a little spicy.
It teeters.
It gets a little spicy, but the real
Depends
spice.
on how tired and how many drinks or whatever.
Yeah, the real spice is over on Patreon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's everything out of the way, right? We did
all the housekeeping that I can remember.
Stuff. Right.
We're a little rusty because it's been a week. It's been technically 2 weeks since we recorded because of Colorado.
More on that on the life update. Be sure to stick around for that. But we have a good one today. We have a good episode today. Our guest today, which is did college radio and won several awards for documentaries with radio, which I've never heard of radio documentaries, which I want to hear more about that. Your favorite, much like you, She Can't Live Without Pickles.
No. We don't.
You don't share that in common?
No pickles.
Yeah, she can't. She said, life is not worth living if it wasn't for pickles.
Oh, agree to disagree.
Paraphrasing because it sounds a little better that way. But also just finish up a project with a I forget how she worded it, but basically like miniatures, like a dollhouse.
Yes.
And her Instagram is pretty cool with all those.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Alyssa with Lemon Squeezy Brands.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of
Thanks
course.
for being on. I wanted to say she makes branding easy peasy.
Well, you should have. Yeah. There you go. You said it.
I did say it. I had to get it out somehow.
Is it brands or branding?
So my business name is Lemon Squeezy Brand Studio, and I help businesses with their branding, brand strategy, and websites. So
got it.
And I make it, like you said, I make it easy peasy. So business owners don't have to stress.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. Websites alone, and then trying to choose your logos and your alternates, and just there's so much that goes into it. And then I feel like it's almost a little bit harder when you are a designer or artist of sorts,
right? Because you want to be...
I really struggled with our alternate for our podcast. It took until I put it off for months because I couldn't figure out something that did it justice in my brain and my eyes. And then I hired someone on Fiverr, and even that was difficult because I went crazy on all of their things and looking at the inspo and looking at their reviews and seeing if they were a good fit. And then it took me telling them what I wanted, and I basically told them, because I wanted some of the letters connected,
Right.
And I wanted our microphone incorporated somehow and a laser beam. And they got close. And then I butchered what they got close with and like did a really terrible version of that. And I said, make this prettier. Yeah. Yeah. So, but it's really hard.
It is.
One that we saw recently, I mean, that I found you from was the one you did for Samita and Anuj for Homebound. So tell us a little bit about that before we get into your background.
Yeah, so I recently did the full rebrand for Homebound, and we did their Shopify website. And just going back and like piggybacking off of what we already said, like it is really hard. There's a lot of things that like you don't think about as the business owner going into your website design or even your logo design.
Yeah.
There's so many things that you just overlook because you don't know what you're supposed to be looking for. And when it comes to like your website and e-commerce, you know, like you go into it thinking, oh, I just need to set up, you know, my products to shop and make sure my checkout cart is working. And you don't realize everything else that goes into it, like being user friendly, signing people up for newsletters. And even with the logo and the branding and stuff, it's so hard when you're trying to do it on your own, which is why, you know, going the DIY route is fine when you're just starting out, but it's always better to work with a professional because it's hard to separate yourself from your business because it's like your baby. You don't want to trust it with anybody else. You have these plans for it, and it's really hard once you're trying to design it yourself to separate you from your baby, you know?
Right.
And that's where the professional comes in, and that's why I work more with like strategy because I can separate myself. I don't have like my heartstrings aren't attached, even though I end up loving everything about your business by the end. In the beginning, I know nothing about it. So I can go into it and just focus on what is your audience, who are you trying to attract to your business, and we go from there. But with Samita's website and her brand, she had kind of just used like what a lot of makers use when they're first starting out, like a Canva logo, or they just bought one off of like Fiverr or something, just something to get them started. But it was so like it was a logo template, so like everybody has one. You're not really standing out, and you're not attracting the people you want to bring in. So we had to be really clear about like what her goals were for her business, and her business is like booming. It's like growing faster than I feel like she was prepared for. And so we wanted to create something for her that exemplified that and moved her in the direction she wanted to go for, and then build her Shopify site. And Shopify especially is one of the hardest platforms for people to DIY because there is so much that goes into it, and a lot of code and a lot of third-party apps. And we just really like honed in, and her and I together back and forth on emails, lots of exchanges to finally get that site the way she envisioned, and it turned out perfect. And it was a fun project. I love how it turned out.
That's awesome. Yeah. So what were you doing before? Like, how did you get to branding and that kind of stuff? What were you doing before all that?
So my journey into this space was very unique, kind of a funny story, but I went into business for myself in 2019. Prior to that, like 2018, endish of 2018, me and my husband were like, we need just some extra spending cash. I was working as a news producer for a local news station, and like it just wasn't fulfilling me.
Sorry, he used to be a cameraman for news.
So we have a lot in common, you know?
He was, for how long? 20 years? By the time you left?
Plus. Yeah. I think 21 years.
Yeah.
Lots of bumping heads with producers.
Well, I was just the associate, so I just wrote all the scripts and stuff, so I didn't really have to do too much with my cameramen, you know?
Yeah.
They liked me because I didn't have to lay the hammer down with them.
Attention all laser owners and crafters. Are you tired of spending hours cutting, painting, and assembling laser products? Look no further than the Crazy Laser Dad's Laser Ready Blanks.
Their high-quality blanks are expertly sourced and tested and ready to use on your laser. Say goodbye to the hassle and frustration of time-consuming projects and hello to more time creating and selling.
Plus, with their wide selection of items, you'll surely find the perfect blank for your customers.
Visit crazylaserdad.com today and take your laser crafting to the next level with their laser-ready blanks.
The Riley Black Project is sponsored by Monarch Pine.
Monarch Pine is your trusted source for premium laser blanks and jewelry findings. From large loop earring hooks made specifically for acrylic and wood earrings to laser-tested stainless steel necklace and bracelet blanks, they have everything you need to bring your creative ideas to life.
As a maker, you know the value of quality supplies. And that's exactly what Monarch Pine delivers. Whether you're crafting as a hobby or running a full-time business, their products make it easy to design confidently and create stunning pieces.
Head to monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack to get 10% off your order. Riley Black patrons get an even bigger discount, so don't miss out.
While you're at it, join the Monarch Pine Craft Supply Insiders Facebook group. It's a vibrant community where makers share tips, inspiration, and their incredible creations.
Monarch Pine, where your creativity takes center stage. Visit monarchpine.com and use code RileyBlack today.
Not tomorrow. Today.
But yeah, so I was doing that, and in the news industry, you don't really get to be creative. It's kind of serious. So I wasn't being creatively fulfilled. So I started a little wood sign making business. I was making like the typical wood framed country farmhouse signs. And I had actually just had launched my Etsy because we had got some people who were interested. I was like, let me just put these on Etsy and make a little extra spending cash, no big deal. When we launched in January of 2019, I had no idea that the following month, the studio would be shutting down. And I actually got laid off. And I had to kind of make a choice. I had been applying to jobs all in the area. I really didn't want to have to relocate, which is something you have to do if you want to be successful in the news space, unfortunately. So there wasn't anything really jumping out to me that I could do. So I decided to put all of my eggs in one basket and really dive into my Etsy shop and growing that business. And that's what I did. And it actually worked out in my benefit. I was able to grow my Etsy shop substantially over the course of 2 years. Blew it up to a point where it was able to give us the opportunity to get my husband out of the military so he can find a civilian job. Put us in the position to start our family. Like, it did great for us. And starting the family is when I had to make a little bit of a pivot. I had my son in 2021, and postpartum for me was not what I expected. It was a lot harder. My son had a lot of health issues with like allergies, and he was colicky and fussy and all the things. So postpartum, I was really struggling because I could no longer make the products that I had come to sell. There was no way that I could get out in a garage with all these power tools and a baby who would not be put down. He had to be held at all times 24/7. I said, I can't do that. I can't bring him out in the garage and do that kind of work. So my business kind of came to like a standstill. And I was in this limbo of not knowing what to do. And you tend to see this a lot with business owners who are feeling like they're not growing or seeing the growth that they want, or they've stalled out, where they start kind of like getting like frazzled or just kind of start taking on more than they can chew and throwing whatever they can at the wall and hoping something sticks. And that was the stage of life that I was in. Like, I was launching new products. I did wholesaling, like for candles and home decor. I started doing digital products and stickers, and I was just trying to launch new things all the time, hoping something would make the money that my signs did, and nothing was working. So, like most business owners do, I said, you know what the problem is? It's obviously just my branding. I need a fresh start. I need to just start over, and that'll give me the motivation I need to, move my business forward and not give up on it. And it had that effect, but not in the way that I thought it was going to. So I redesigned my own logo and posted it. And just some friends that I've made over the years from the maker community, they were like, wow, that's really good. Can you help us with our logo? And it started getting some attention, and I started offering logos for like $50 to whoever wanted them. And I just started kind of diving into it, and it was taking off faster than I thought it would. I said, wow, this is great. I'll just, this is what I needed to do.
Right.
I had no education, no background. I had no idea like rules or anything for this space. No formal education. I didn't know what industry standards were. I had no idea about brand strategy. I was just a girl with an iPad winging it.
Yeah.
And I had made a logo for a photographer, and I shared it to TikTok, and it blew up, but for all the wrong reasons. It's my most viral video to date, with over 1 million views. Hundreds of thousands of negative comments just roasting how terrible the logo was from a like brand design standpoint and like the rules for brand design and logo design.
Yeah.
So I got annihilated in those comments, and people were like, you know, anybody with an iPad thinks they can be a logo designer, la la la. And you know, I feel like normal people maybe would have been like, oh God, let me back away from this. But that gave me the motivation to actually learn.
Right.
So I started to learn what the proper tools were to use in this space. I started doing all of my research on brand strategy and branding and proper logo design and how to do all of that. So I like dove head first because I was like, I'm going to prove all of you wrong. You saw one bad logo and it wasn't even that bad. I thought it was cute. You know, it gave my client what she wanted. So that was fine by me.
Right.
But I started learning everything I could, and it just took off from there.
That's the hard part, too, because you're also, it's not only what you want, it's also what the customer wants. And there's been times, you know, not with logos, but like with signs, there's a couple signs that I'm like, you know, if you want my opinion, I wouldn't necessarily choose those colors. And there's, you know, those are the ones that you don't post and you don't showcase. Like, it might make it into your Instagram stories, maybe.
Because they go away.
Yeah. There's some that it's like, I'm just not. It's exactly what you wanted, but it's not ever something that I would. Yeah. So, you
from
know,
a technical standpoint, the logo was trash. Like from technical, it could never be made into like a storefront signage or into a decal. Like my lines were way too fine. There was too much detail. Like technically, it was a bad logo. But the client loved it, and that was all that mattered to me at the time because that's all I knew. I didn't know any better, and I've since learned better. And I know now, after working with so many clients that I have, there is a fine line of like giving the client what they want, but also making sure that you're not setting them up for failure by just saying, okay, sure, I'll do whatever. If you want me to put a picture of a cat in there because you have a pet cat, sure, I'll do that. Now there's like that's not really strategic. It's not going to attract the people you think it's going to attract. And like being able to kind of find the balance where you shine through in your logo, but it's not like 100% everything you're envisioning. Because people will throw in anything that's meaningful to them because you think that's what you should do. And so I've learned a lot from that experience, and I'm grateful for that viral moment.
Well, and I mean, with if you're working with other makers in the laser industry too, it's surprising how many people in the laser industry with laser-centered businesses who don't have laser-friendly logos. And it's super important, which it would be similar to like probably like embroidery, compatible, you know, that you can, if you have like, there's some, you know, and it can be an alternate, but there's some like with like the watercolor background and you know, those kind of things. And like, again, like you said, the super detailed stuff and fine lines and like that doesn't translate well. We've all had those customers who come to us with a logo and they're like, hey, can you make me a sign? And you're like, cannot. And it's really hard to explain why. But especially, it's just a little bit ironic how many of, you know, and I think mine was pretty laser friendly in the beginning. But it was accidental. It was not like, you know, it was simple. My friend did my branding. but it was simple, and that's what helped me, and that's why it was somewhat like laser friendly, and I didn't even have a laser yet when I had started that branding.
I feel like when you're thinking of your logo, you're thinking of what looks cool or looks pretty. You're not really thinking of how you can use it in other spaces, whether it be
like our main podcast logo was not friendly in like it wasn't easy for us to make a sign out of without a whole bunch of pieces, and and it was simple-ish, but not simple enough.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And that's why I like when I have the opportunity to work with like maker type businesses, because I came from that space. And so I did the same things they did. Like I just went on Canva and, oh, that's super cute, or that's super trendy. Or you would buy like a template on Etsy and make your logo, because you're not thinking about the applications for it. So I love when they get to come to me and I can tell them, like, as much as the watercolor looks so cute, or those floral wreaths and things are so precious, you're not standing out, for one, because everybody has bought or purchased that exact same template, and it's maybe just changing out the colors they're using. So you're not standing out, and you can't even use your logo in any application unless you're just pulling the words out. And at that point, then now you're not recognizable, because the only thing you're known for in your logo is that watercolor effect. And if you can't engrave the watercolor, then it's just some type text, So I love getting them to come in, because I understand their businesses and their struggles, and like how hard it can be to separate, because what they do is so personal, because you're physically making it and like putting so much effort and sweat and time into what you're creating. So like those businesses especially, I always get all nostalgic, and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited you're here.
Yeah. So what are some things that you learned after that terrible reel about like branding and stuff that are important, besides making it laser friendly and, what did you say? Was it branding theory? Hey guys, how great would it feel if this was the year you finally got to escape the 9-to-5 and embrace a lifestyle of creativity and entrepreneurship?
Every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, Eon Laser USA invites you to join the Above and Beyond webinar, where you'll learn how you can make this a reality.
Join leading laser industry professional and brand ambassador Emily, aka That Mom with a Laser, and Eon Laser USA's sales manager Alyssa as they dive into all things Eon.
Learn about the advantages of owning an Eon Laser and get the scoop on Eon's rewards and partner benefits. Plus, get a glimpse at how everyday people who started out with zero experience paid off their lasers, scaled their businesses, and transformed their lifestyles.
So if you're ready for a lifestyle change, head on over to eonlaser.us/why us and sign up for the Above and Beyond webinar today.
Thanks for listening. Laser on.
Bye.
Are you tired of endlessly joining jump rings?
There's gotta be an easier way.
Are your wrists aching after numerous orders? Introducing Keychain Thingies, the time-saving solution for anyone making keychains.
It's so fast and easy.
These revolutionary plastic thingies make large or multiple orders a snap. So easy, even a child can do it.
That was so easy.
So what are you waiting for? Go to keychainthingies.com and order now. Keychain Thingies will change your life. However, they should not be used to cure any medical ailments, repair broken relationships, or help lose weight. Do not use Keychain Thingies unless you want to save time and aggravation.
Brand strategy. The first thing for me was learning the software, because I was just using Procreate on my iPad. But, that's just what you do. And I would give them like a PNG file or whatever, when there are all the different file types that you need, because you can't laser engrave, for example, a PNG with a white background.
That's the worst, when you ask somebody for a compatible file and they have this PNG that they've screenshotted a million times and it kills the quality each and every time. And you're like, and you're trying to explain the SVG or vector. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was the biggest thing for me in the beginning was learning the proper software. So now I use Adobe for everything, Illustrator. I know what files to give my clients so that they can maximize the use of their logos. They get every single file type from me. And then from there, it was more learning the the principles of logo design, like the line weight, the hierarchy, like just kind of really diving in. I'm somebody who like if I put my mind to it, I'm going to learn every single thing I can about it. And so I was spending so much time on just YouTube and these like courses online and things, trying to learn as much as I could. Once I got all of that down, I started doing more brand identities, moved away from just doing one-off logos, because I also found with working with clients and then doing my research that providing just a single logo doesn't serve the person's business anything. Because that one logo, one isn't going to help with brand recognition, because it's just one thing to look at. It also doesn't give them options. Like if I design one horizontal logo, that's going to look terrible in your social media. You might not be able to scale it down. So like you don't get much out of just having a singular logo for your business. And so I started moving into brand identity, which is where we create your entire brand personality, for example, like your logos, different variations of that logo, your brand colors, making sure they are high contrast, and then also making sure that they work and are accessible online on websites and things. So moving into that space. And then, in the last recent year, I started doing the website design, which is truly where my heart is. I was the type of kid growing up, like I made all the WordPress blog websites. Like I've always had a love or an interest in website design. I just didn't know it was something you could do not having formal education. So not having a degree in that space, I was like, well, I can never do anything with that, so who cares? But now you can just go online and get whatever education you need. So I learned website, which was a big one for me. And then I picked up brand strategy, which is where we really get down to the core of your business, which forms like the foundation. So your brand mission, your values, who exactly is your target audience? Where do they shop? Where do they like to hang out? How do they dress? Like finding all of these details. And it makes the business owner have to really think a little bit more about who it is that they're trying to attract. Because, your business can't be for everyone. Your podcast can't be for everyone. Whatever it is you're doing is not for everyone. And so you have to figure out who you are for and then target those specific people. So it's been a big learning curve and learning journey, and it's just a lot of fun. And then getting to work with all the different businesses that I've gotten to work with. It's just been such an incredible experience that only happened because I just decided on a whim that my handmade business needed a new logo, and the rest is history.
I honestly feel like those are, again, it's really similar to our story in that almost all of the things that we've found and do, some of them we still do, some of them we don't, they were all accidental for the most part. I bought a vinyl cutter to make things for my son and ended up making them for everybody else. The keychain thingies part of our thing was I needed them, and I realized other people wanted them too. The podcast studio that we just opened, we didn't come. That was a thought in our mind, years ago, but we didn't actually. I didn't know that we'd ever really pull it off. It was just kind of like pretend.
I didn't know how. I didn't know how we would do it.
Yeah. And then it just kind of happened recently, and we fell into it. And then something else that happened once we did the podcast studio was then a lot of people started reaching out to us to do the same thing for them, create podcast studios or spaces or content creation spaces, in their place. And we both, in setting up the studio, found something that we really enjoyed. Like we enjoyed most of the process, but it was purely accidental. Someone had approached us and we told them no, and then we decided yes.
Well, we went into this year thinking we were gonna grow.
We were gonna lean more on this podcast,
right? This one, not necessarily for everyone.
Yeah,
we knew we were gonna lean hard into podcasting, but we figured it'd be into this and growing this.
Yeah,
and then when given the opportunity, You know, like it started this year started with a remodel for what is now, I guess you can call it competition, but for somebody else. And then fast forward 6 months from there, we're approached and said, hey, can we record in your space? And we're like, not ours, but
right, because it's in our house.
and then we looked around like, well, hey, we found this place that would work. Are you still interested?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just a big part of business is just kind of riding that wave, because so many of us think we want to do one thing, and then we try it, we do it, and then it either doesn't take off or like it doesn't do what you think it wants, or just kind of evolves.
Yeah, it evolves to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always been, you know, a big believer in, and I think it's just because that's what I went through. I feel like business owners always need to be ready to pivot.
Yes.
Because you'll notice that the businesses that don't make it are the ones that couldn't figure out how to pivot when things got hard, when life threw them lemons, which is what the essence of my brand is. Like, I like to work with business owners who are resilient and have made their lemons into lemonade.
Yeah.
And because that was what happened to me, you know, like my business was on the verge of crumbling and just completely, I was like, if this doesn't work, I'm just going to give up on it and just call it a day. It wasn't meant to be. Well, and you have to be willing as a business owner to pivot when things get hard.
Right.
Even if it's not exactly the road you thought you were going to go down, just see what happens. The worst that can happen is that doesn't work either. And you can pivot again. But the unwillingness to change is what's going to stunt you and hold you back.
Yeah. And I mean, similar to you, because we had our children around the same time, was COVID. No, it was COVID happened, and then baby happened. And so it's two, like, the COVID changed so much as businesses, life in general. And then you add another baby, and for us it was our second baby, you know, for you your first, but both of them are just as like shocking to the system. First baby shocks you because it's the first one, and the second one you're like, holy crap, this is not double the work, this is like quadruple, you know, the work. And you know, it changes so much. And then, you know, something I've realized and kind of come to terms with is that there's always going to be curveballs. There's always going to be things that don't work how you think. There's always going to be changes. Yeah. Nothing is ever constant. And so again, the way
only thing constant is change.
Exactly. And you have to be able to shift from that, because if your heart is set on wood signs or vinyl shirts or whatever, eventually it's just gonna fizzle out and not exist anymore, or you're not gonna have sales, or you know, you're gonna get burned out. So, and as soon as I think that, like, oh, okay, we're gonna coast for a while, there's something that happens stirs it up, and you're like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna go in this direction now, and you have to like just continually do this reevaluation of
like the biggest thing right now is what is it called, live shopping or whatever. Like that's the biggest thing. Almost all of I'm a big Gary V follower, and now that's all he's talking about. All he's talking about is this new like trend that's going crazy in China of live shopping.
Well, and how AI is changing so much as well. And so with the I guess people being able to make their own on Canva. I mean, it was a lot harder to make your own logos before, when I used to make them for me and my mom in our many craft businesses. I would make them. Oh my God, what was it called? It was called Publisher.
Art? Oh,
Publisher. It was, Windows Publisher. So it was like, it wasn't Paint.
Right.
But it wasn't like a
step up from Paint.
Word. It was Word. It was Microsoft's like, It's where you could design flyers and like
Oh,
that kind of
I
stuff.
think I feel like we used that in high school for like
Yeah.
our yearbook
Oh my
and
God,
stuff.
so old. Um, but yeah, so like, I mean, I don't even know where I was going with that. What did I say before publisher? Oh, just in that almost. So it almost makes it harder in some senses, I guess, for what you do, but also easier in another sense because, like, yes, everyone technically can make their own, but not everyone should make their own.
That's the key there, And again, because it comes back to you can't separate yourself from your business. You're too personally attached to it. So you're designing with what you want and what you like and what you're envisioning. And your customer may not be the type of person that you'd be friends with. Like
Right.
you guys might not see eye to eye and like the same things.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important to get an outside opinion or help on it when your business is in the position to do that, because the outsider looking in can help you kind of separate the two to really figure out, okay, you are this type of personality, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's who your customer is that you're trying to bring into your business, or the customer that is coming into your business. You don't want to ignore them, just because, well, I love pink, but my fan base is all, goth. And now I'm going to make this really bright pink logo because I just love it and I think it's cute. That doesn't sit well with the customer base you're trying to bring in. That's just one example. But yeah, I've just lost my train of thought.
Same. It happens to me all the time. Well, but like you were saying earlier with the cat thing, there's so many people that like, and I mean, in ways my stuff kind of does the same, because like Riley Black alone, it doesn't tell you anything about like what I do or whatever. Like a lot of places, you're gonna want like homebound custom decor or Lone Star adhesive. I do
Riley
way
Black
too many
studios.
Right. But that's why we have a million like
Riley Black
spin-offs,
media,
because
designs.
right. Because alone it doesn't tell you anything about
the empire.
Yeah, and your favorite cat being in your logo. It's okay, do you sell cat stuff?
Right.
And if you don't,
what's the cat doing there?
Yeah.
And I think
Mr.
that's why it's
Fluffy
hard
shouldn't be in
for
there.
the business owner who's creating their logo, because there is this big misconception that your logo has to physically say or tell you what they do. If I'm a coffee shop, then my logo has to have a coffee cup in it or a coffee bean. And you don't have to do that. Your logo doesn't have to visually tell somebody what you do. I know with the laser space, it's really common for them to want to put a laser engraver in their logo. You don't have to do that in order to still convey and send the same message. Now, icons, illustrations, all of that fun stuff, then you can start to throw in those elements. Like the microphone can be an icon that you use in your brand pattern and in the larger scheme. And all of it works together to then convey what you do.
Right.
Like a Nike swoosh, for example. It's the best example to even, because what even is that? You wouldn't know that they sold sneakers looking at their logo, because that's not the job of the logo. It's the job of the branding and the marketing to explain what your business does, not the logo's job.
Well, and that's
what you do.
it's hard understanding that if you don't know that.
For me, one of the best examples of that is Red Bull. If you look at all of Red Bull's, from their content, from their commercials or whatever, sure, they're drinking Red Bull and like the commercials and stuff.
Yeah.
But the commercial is just like, it just so happens that they're drinking, like their logo of the bull doesn't like show you that it's an energy drink.
Yeah.
And then it's more of a lifestyle and more of a like feeling that it gives
an energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like X Games almost, like the Fringe. And that's their brand, not necessarily energy drink.
And it's because they took the time to know who their audience is, and they're not just designing from what they want or what they liked. It was, we did the research. We know who we're trying to attract and the type of people that drink our drink or
Right.
go to our events. They've done that research to then know, I know how to target you. So their logo could be literally anything.
Right.
And it's how they put their logo and present it out there that is what makes it memorable and what gets people to come purchase their product or whatever.
Yeah. Do you have any recommendations, like general recommendations, as far as like how often should you reevaluate those? Like, how should you do like, a yearly or bi-yearly check-in on if your logo is still aligning like with what you're doing or anything like that?
So, your fan base probably has a lot of different types of people in different parts of their journey. So if you're somebody who's like a year into your business, keep using the logo that you created on Canva.
Yeah.
Anytime somebody comes to me who has less than a year or two in their business, I typically tell them to wait before making the big investment into
so
a
much
full
sense.
rebrand, because those first 2 years, especially, you're still figuring out what it is you even do. And
Very much
especially
so.
in the maker community and like laser, because there's so much that you could offer. It's like limitless.
It's almost too much. Yeah.
There's too much. And you'll see a lot of shops when they first launch will like pretty much offer everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
They don't niche down.
Yep.
And then they don't really know who it is that buys their product because it's always changing. It's always
Yeah.
evolving. And then your style on top of that is always changing. Like how you
Yes.
operate, how you design the products that you're selling, how you pick the products you're selling. So like those
Yeah.
first 2 or 3 years, use the logo you have. Even if your business is blowing up,
Yep.
use that one and keep building and figuring out that foundation. That way when you come to someone like me after the 2-3 year mark, you have a better idea when I ask you the question of, okay, well, who is it that you're trying to attract to your business? If you had to describe your business at a party, who would your business be at that party? Would they be the fun, energetic, very charismatic person that everyone gravitates towards? Would they be the shy, reserved, really sipping their wines? Like, can you answer that question? Can you tell me where your customer shops? Like, do you want them to be someone who needs very budget friendly, looking for an all-in-one shop, like a Walmart shopper? Or do you want to have a more high-end exclusive feel, like a Nordstrom? That's where they shop, or something like that, So waiting until you've figured those things out. What are your values as a company? Like, you'd be surprised how many people have come to me, and when I ask them, well, what's the values of your business? What is your mission? What's your 5-year plan look like? And they don't know. Oh, I've never really asked myself that. And those are so important to building a brand that you can then grow and expand with. And Sumida and Homebound, since they're my most recent in this space anyway, example is they did that. They have used that same logo for years now.
Yep.
And have grown and have gotten to the point in their business where they know who they are and what they want to do, what their 5-year plan looks like, who their target audience is. That's not to say they niche down their products. Like, they still have a big, wide array of products, but like one thing they said they really wanted to do is they love doing corporate gifting and working in that corporate space. And so they wanted to make sure that the way they were presenting themselves was more professional.
Yes.
And you see that shift in their 2 logos, their previous and the new one, is it feels a little bit more professional, more elevated, more like someone you could trust.
Someone
to
a
handle
corporation.
a big corporate order,
Someone a corporation is going to want to hire rather than like the mom who does like crafts on the weekend kind of feel. It's that all goes
them
into
more in
it.
a position to be, like a leading expert in the space.
Yeah.
Versus just the hobbyist, but it's because they took the time to figure all that out, figure out what their values are, what they like. They've had years under their belt now to know, I like to do this and I do not like doing this. And that's why I always recommend, use the Canva logo as you can. And then once you do get to the point where you can invest in a full brand and website, I would say at the bare minimum, yearly, you should at least be sitting down and reevaluating your business, making sure your values, your goals all still align with what you set out to do at the start of the year.
Right.
You got the best way to do it is like quarterly, and sit down and just check in with yourself and check in with your business. I know that's easier said than done, but at the bare minimum, a year, check in and make sure everything still aligns and that your brand still has, the same feel that you want it to. For the most part, when you actually do invest and you do the brand strategy and everything, your overall brand won't change. You might maybe tweak like just a icon or a color or something, but for the most part, once you've done all that foundational work, your rebranded full brand identity brand strategy doesn't need to really change and evolve that much. It might just slightly have some different variations as you start to pivot and grow and your values change.
Yeah, I would say that's a huge, huge tip for anyone starting out. It's a good point that you had that I honestly didn't even really think about myself. Like, sit down and think about it too much, is that our audience is like, it's just such a wide range of people. There's people who've been doing this all their life almost, or, there's several generations in, and then there's people who literally started a few months ago or like just a year ago.
Or are waiting for their machine to come in to start.
Yes, we even have those. And just thinking back to my first 2 years in that industry, or just being a business owner, oh my God, the amount of changes. And, I always joke on the podcast how I, thought when I bought the laser that I wanted to make like nursery signs, and I made 2 nursery signs and I was like, nope, not for me.
Right.
And then I would make any little thing that my friends or family would ask me to make. And I would spend all of this time and materials and all of it to like figure it out. And then I'd be like, oh, okay, I liked this or I didn't like this. I learned quite early on that I really hated painting. And so, then I was shifting to things that didn't require painting. But I accidentally started selling laser files because people wanted to buy them. Little things like that. It's so right that you said, like, just make a Canva logo, get one of those templates, for that first year or two until you really figure out what you want to make or what you want to do, right? Because even if you set out to, maybe I did actually want to make nursery signs and it did take off. Well, in 2 years, I'll know exactly what style I have, which ones I really enjoy making, which ones I stay away from. And then you can make a logo and branding that accompanies all of that. Because if you try to do that in the beginning, if I would have done that in the beginning, it wouldn't have lasted me a couple months. It had to be somewhat generic so that I could it wasn't on purpose. Maybe it was my friend's. Maybe it was on purpose for her.
So
but
I think it was kind of on purpose in that you didn't have those answers.
Right.
You didn't have the like what you want to do.
True.
Because it's like, nursery, but I also want to do these, and I just saw these like wine boxes that were really, really cool that I want to try to make. Like they were all these things.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, but
I forgot about those.
Yeah, and it's like you couldn't answer that question.
Right.
And it's like me, I'm in my second year.
Well, and I answered the ones that I could. Like she wanted to know like what colors, I really liked, and it was red and black, and like, my personality and the things I kind of wanted to lean towards of like, I don't know why I wanted to make nursery signs because it's so wholesome for me and that's not really me. But like she came up with my tagline, which was made with love and a little sass. Cause like I wanted that to be, I didn't want to be I wanted to have like a little bit of edge to the branding, even though I didn't know what the heck
to the product.
I was. Yeah.
Well, because the shirts you wanted to make.
Yes.
Were a little like funny, edgy.
Yeah, funny and appropriate.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, and I feel like that's the story with a lot, especially in the creative space, is like those first couple of years are so formative because you're trying to find what you like, but then also you're figuring out what your audience even is buying off of your shop. Another project I recently did for another laser engraver was K&J Keepsakes. And they, different than like Sumida, they actually niched down completely because they started to understand like we had this wide catalog, but those things weren't even selling, and they're just like a tedious thing to make. So we'll niche down. We might lose some of those customers who like those smaller, quick little gag gift type things, but we're gonna focus more on what we're good at and what has a better, turnaround and all that. We want to focus on that. And so they pared it down to being more event, like they do. Their biggest seller is their keepsake boxes, which are just engraved little boxes that you can keep your precious memories in. And like that's their biggest seller. So that's what they honed in on. And then they have other things like giftable items for special moments, like cutting boards and marble trays and things like that. So their inventory catalog got a lot smaller. It's because they started to understand who's buying from them and what's making them money and what is, worth their time making.
Well, and what's your end goal? So something, we did at the beginning of this year, because we do have so many different pieces of our business. I had courses, I was still selling some files, I had the keychain stuff, we had the podcast. And at the beginning of this year, none of them were growing like I wanted to because I was doing too much. I was doing just enough to each piece. And I needed to find a way to, not necessarily not like get rid of any of them 100%, but like with the keychain stuff, I was going crazy buying the charms and the accessories and all of that kind of stuff. And it was fun, but that wasn't where the bulk of my sales were. I still have them, but when we decided that we wanted to make the podcast the main thing that we focused on, it made it much easier to make decisions with the other stuff, because it was like, okay, if I want to add something to the keychains part of my business, does that align with our ultimate goal of doing mostly the podcast and that kind of stuff? We wanted to do all these shows and promote keychain thingies. And then we're like, okay, but that takes us away from the podcast. So is that the best decision? And so then we made the choice, okay, we'll do a couple shows a year, but we'll be really strategic in what shows we're doing. I ended up growing
how we're presenting ourselves. Are we presenting ourselves with keychain thingies? Or are we presenting ourselves as the Riley Black Project?
Well, and we ended up doing both to in some senses. Like we would go to the shows and we'd have a booth for keychain thingies, but then we'd do the podcast while we were there.
Yeah, and I feel like that spreads us out a little too thin.
It does.
Because we don't have the ability
doing too much.
Well, we don't have the ability to meet our audience, to actually nurture those relationships with our audience one-on-one. Because hold on a minute. That'll be $14.95. Thank you. Is that card? Do you want a receipt? You want? Hold on. Yeah. I remember that episode. That's it. Do you want a receipt? Push your email for the receipt. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of it spreads it a little
so
thin.
Hard. Yeah. But knowing those goals is huge in in all of the things. Okay, so we've hit over 45, and it's in my brain to remember to ask the question that I included in the email. I don't know if you remember, but it's what is one tool, skill, or mindset that has made a big impact on your business? It can be small or big.
So this one's hard because I feel like I've gotten so many little tidbits. I'm going to use the most recent one that has kind of helped open the doors for me. I mentioned it earlier, kind of, but just understanding and accepting that I am not for everyone and my business is not for everyone.
So true.
I am a chronic people pleaser. And so for every part of my business, like any sad story, or I would just do it. I would let people just kind of walk all over me and push me around and, sway me for my boundaries and things and haggle
You
me
tell
for
them
pricing,
no and they
and
convince you.
like
Yes.
feel bad if I raised my pricing and somebody
Yes.
was like, well, I can't afford that now. And it took a lot for me to finally realize and then accept that I am not meant for everyone. And as soon as you accept that, it opens the door for you, because then you're able to focus on the people that you are meant for. And you're not trying to cater to a million different people, because not everyone's going to like you.
Right.
Not everyone's going to like your style. Not everyone's going to like your pricing. And that's okay. You're not, there isn't anything in the world that every single person is going to love. Same thing goes with your creative business or with a podcast business. Like, you're not for everybody, and you don't have to keep trying to be. And like that's a piece of advice that I feel like I wish I would have had even when I made the wood signs, because I felt like, well, I have to make sure I always at least keep something super cheap on my product list for the person with a tiny budget, even though that's not who I wanted to cater to. I just felt like I had to have something for them.
Right.
When you don't have to be that way. You don't have to have something for all budgets. It's okay to niche down. People get scared at the idea of having to niche, because you're like, oh, but then I'm gonna box myself in and I'm not gonna be able to get as many customers. And a lot of times it's quality over quantity, especially when it's the people that are shopping for your business. I'd much rather have a handful of loyal customers who are coming to me and spending good money with me than have a million people coming and spending $1 just because.
Yeah, that's what I mean. As much as I love keychains, just even thinking of that, like, you have to be careful too. If you're selling a million $10 individual items to people, unfortunately, sometimes the caliber of customer that you get at that price point is going to be different than the caliber of customer you get for $100 cutting board or a $1,200 tumbler order or those kind of things. Like, we all joke, and I think in many industries, videography and creative alike, the ones that pay $30 for a sign, those are going to be the ones who expect zero flaws and absolute perfection, and they're going to nitpick this and that. And then the $1,200 customer, you tell them, the deliverables, and you give it to them, and they're like, "Oh my God, that's amazing! That's exactly what I wanted." And
I think also too, having just charged my worth for this most latest project that we're going to be working on.
Even then, we undercharged.
Well, but still,
yes,
still, I feel like it
but
was
we went
very
outside.
fair. It was a very fair, even though it was but it was very fair pricing.
Yeah,
the enthusiasm behind giving them the end product, because I've lowballed myself a lot, and then I find it a chore to edit, to go to this thing. It's almost like now I have to go work for free because they paid the $200, the $300. Now I got to go work for free, where this one,
well, and then you just want to get it done because
and out the door,
because you're resentful almost at yourself for not charging enough,
and
it's so now you're
fault.
Just like, here you go, and so the end product isn't even going to be as well,
Where this one, I went out and I love gear, so I went out and got some more gear because
he got a new camera, and he's
I didn't want to say.
Sorry,
I got a camera.
He got a new thing.
No, I mean,
bleep it out. But he's been following me around. I was on a phone call today, and he mic'd me up, and he's like just videoing me, and that's normal around. I know, but that's just normal around here because you have to try it out. But
I have to try it because it's brand new, and I want to make sure everything works for the shoot, and I'm not missing anything. But anyway, it just makes me want to, because I know I'm being paid, the worth, and I want to do. It's like I want to go above and beyond because I feel like I was,
because you charged enough for
because exactly, because I am compensated what it's worth. So it's like, okay, now I want to deliver the best product. One, so they can return, of course, who doesn't, but two, because I do, I'm excited about it. And it is a different mindset that is my client. It's is also very involved and very like can't wait for shoot day. So it's all different. Like if you cater to, again, your people.
Yeah.
I want someone who's as motivated about a project as I am.
Right.
You know, with the podcast studio.
Yeah.
Although I would love the one-off, you know, they just come in and do content and leave.
Right.
I do also want the weekly podcast and watch and help them grow from 0 views to wherever it is they go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely like meeting your people is definitely 100% like
it's where it's at. It's
where
where
it's
your business will thrive. It's where
and it is scary.
Personality
niching down is super scary because you feel like you're leaving money on the table. Is it going to pay off? Am I niching right in the right direction?
Well, and saying no to money.
Exactly.
It's so hard when you're figuring it out.
Especially when you're not rolling in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I recently did a course for graphic designers, and they do a whole thing on money mindset. And you had said something earlier that they really like focused in on, which is something I think a lot of business owners, is something I struggled with too, is where you said, you know, I charged what I was worth. And we need to start as business owners separating ourselves from that mindset of charging what we think we're worth, because we will never think we're worthy enough of the price that we're trying to get. So it makes it easier for us to be like, okay, I'll come down a little bit because maybe I don't have enough experience to do this, or like you can easily talk yourself out of that higher price point.
Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of looking at it more as I'm going to charge what I deserve because of the time that's being invested into this, the resources that are going into it. You have to make it less personal, which is something I really struggled with too, since raising my prices and everything. Is I would charge, and when I would put my pricing out there or say a price, I just felt like I would feel icky because I felt
want to throw up. I say it all the time.
I've only been doing this for like 2 years. I don't think I can ask for that much. Or then I would start just throwing in things for free. And like you had mentioned, like then you feel like, well, now I'm doing all this extra work and I 100% should have gotten more, charged more, but I made it about me and made it about if I thought I was worthy enough to ask for it. And once you have that shift, it just changes everything for your business, and you stop accepting lowball offers and stop lowballing and shortchanging yourself.
Yeah.
And that also then opens the door, and you start attracting the people who respect you enough and value you as the designer or you as the creative to do what you do, because they see the confidence behind what you're asking for. They're like, oh yeah, you are the expert, do what you got to do.
Right.
It just kind of opens a new caliber of people. So like, even if you're selling $5 stickers, $2 stickers, don't price it based on what you think it's worth or what you think your art is worth. It should just be charged. Do it for figure out how much time you spent doing it. What do you want to be paid hourly? And you go from there. Your cost of labor, the cost of all your materials, it's all math based. It doesn't need to be so personal.
Right.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. We're going to continue that.
Yes, we're going to continue that and a few more things over on Patreon. But before then, where can people follow you? And, you know, maybe they want to just talk about possibly rebranding if they're in the right time or whatever. Where can they find you?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok mostly at Lemon Squeezy Brands. My website is lemonsqueezybrands.com. I'm actually going to be going on maternity leave, so I will be back taking on new clients October to start their projects in November. Awesome. So perfect time for anybody who wants to rebrand for the new year. So, you know, you can email me at any point between now, even while I'm on maternity leave. I am more than happy to chat with you and figure out, you know, what we can do for your business. But lemonsqueezybrands.com, or follow me on TikTok or Instagram.
Awesome. Stay right there. It sounds like the ending, but it's not. We're going over to Patreon. And the life update's coming up next. And we are back for the life update.
Yes. I got the yawn out of the way.
I've changed to.
I had this on from the beginning, Daniel.
Our exclusive Fire the Laser, the Riley Black Project.
Right?
T-shirts.
Gift from our friends Daniel and Tess,
Live Pixel
from Alive Pixel Creates
/ Customize It.
Drove down 9+ hours
South
to
Carolina.
come to our ribbon cutting. So before we get to that,
we
also went to Colorado. And, we stayed with my friend Penny. We got to see my dad and hang out with him for a bit. We got to see my mom, stepdad, sister, all of our friends. Just a lot of good quality time with everyone. Like it was laughs. We missed everyone. It was, uninterrupted, time. There wasn't too much screaming with the kids in public.
We took the boys with us. Yeah.
There was some rough moments for sure.
But
overall, overall, it was a great trip. And then the travel was a little rough. There was a lot of delays getting there, and then getting home. The home was fine. Thankfully, it was really nice. We had a flight that had
it wasn't full
60 open seats. So there was we each had an open seat. There was 2 kids behind me that had the whole row to themselves.
It was nice.
So that was really nice. But we did get in really late at 1:15. So Thursday was a very rough day for all of us, especially the kids.
It was rough for drop off.
Yeah. And then
in
Friday,
hindsight, I guess we should have taken that day off.
Probably, but here's
to school on Friday,
right,
and then it's the weekend.
Exactly. And then it was too we had work to get done because we had to schedule. July and June have just been crazy,
and we just keep piling
It's been a
more.
whirlwind.
We
do. And, it was literally the only time that we could do the ribbon cutting and the open house. So we had to do it this weekend. So we needed Thursday to prepare for that. I was literally designing and creating and finding print shops to print 100+ flyers and our price sheets and getting them laminated. And it was just so much. We made a bunch of light up pens, which were a hit.
Yes.
But
I used the fiber. Well, not the fiber. Well, I did use the fiber, but it
wasn't successful.
Didn't work. So I switched over to the F1.
Yes. But so then on Friday we had the ribbon cutting of our new podcast studio, Riley Black Studios. Surprise, surprise. It's podcasting and content creation, right? But that was amazing. There was a ton of people that we knew, a ton of people that we didn't know who were just there.
It was very surprising because we didn't know what to expect for the ribbon cutting. The open house, we kind of knew that it would be because we've been pushing it. I ran an ad for it and everything like that. But the ribbon cutting...
We had to kick the kids out, which meant we had to kick your mama. I felt that really sucked, but we tried, there, and I knew it was a possibility. I really hoped it wasn't going to be one.
Right.
We did try, but Jackson was touching every cookie. They were fighting with each other. They were kicking. They were bumping into people. And I'm like, okay. And that was at 4:52.
Right.
And we didn't actually cut the ribbon until 5:30. And so they would have fallen apart by then.
They were falling. They are already falling apart.
Yeah, we tried. It didn't work out. We recorded it and then we showed them the recording. But that was the biggest hiccup, The building that we're in, they were super supportive. They set up a table and some very delicious cookies, I might add.
Those cookies are bomb. I forgot to ask the receptionist.
Oh, you messed up. Yeah. But yeah, and then the ribbon cutting though was hard because there were so many people in such a short space and time that it was so loud that conversation was a little bit difficult. You didn't get to have a lot of the one-on-one about how our space might help them, that kind of stuff. But the open house was the following day, and that was from 12 to 3. And I'm so glad that we did both because, the ribbon cutting had its purpose, its ceremonial piece to it. And then the open house was like, okay, come hang out, come look at it, talk to us, tell us what your vision is, what you're curious about, how we can help. And we were able to have those like good conversations to see, what questions do people have? What do they want from this kind of space? We found some people that reminds me, I have to email all the winners. But we found some people who, because we offer, like, you can show up and record all your content and we'll send you the content and then you do with it as you wish. Or you show up, record, and then you leave, and we do all the rest. It just depends on how hands-on you want us to be, how hands-on you want to be, that kind of stuff. And so we found people who fit that. And so that was awesome. It's just people who want to create content but don't have the time for the editing, the posting. Yeah, the space they want to record in. How many times have... we not necessarily wanted to record something because the house is a mess or the workshop is a mess or it doesn't look how you want it to look when you're portraying an important message. So say maybe you're having a launch or something like that, launching a new project from your dirty warehouse. Sure, it makes you look normal, but does it really attract the customer the way you want it to? Does it look as professional as you want to? Depending on what you're trying to get across.
Well, like we were talking about today, depending on who your customer is.
Exactly. Yeah. So, it was just, I kept using the word overwhelmed, but in a good way.
I was totally expecting to be able to work on Daniel's episode.
He did. He was like, I'm just going to edit in there.
And as people come in, I'll like stop and I'll show them stuff. And then, once they leave, I'll go back. No, it was a constant flow. And
again, thankfully, good problem to have.
No, great problem to have.
You didn't need to keep yourself busy with any editing while we waited for people to show up because there was
just always
tons of people. And those people showed up and they shared. Yeah. They shared, the space with their followers
they all
and
got
their
content.
people.
They were sharing. Everyone's been super supportive and bunch of new followers on all platforms and stuff. It was really amazing. Now let's turn that into dollars.
Right.
and we're good. A few people definitely were like, you won't be here long, meaning that we're going to outgrow it. That we were going to outgrow it really fast. We definitely have a vision for multiple sets. Hopefully take this set over to Riley Black Studios
eventually,
and have a producer and all that for us as well.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit down the road. Hopefully not too far down the road.
Yeah. There was tons of laser people who hit me up who wanted to try and make it. But day of it just didn't work out, which believe me, we understand. But the fact that like you even considered it, thought about it for half a second and that you sent a message on that day. It really just, it means the world to us, all of the support that we have, through the laser podcast, through the laser community, friends, family, new local friends and businesses. Yeah, it just, I was like riding on I still am. I'm riding on the biggest high of how awesome it went. It couldn't have gone better.
I can't wait to see where we go. And with that, we also, because Daniel was here, we have, I guess I'm going to have a somewhat of an announcement to make if you made it this far. So for Next Level, if you're going to Next Level and you see me with a bucket, put $1 in because we are doing a kind of like a competition. Yeah. All money goes to charity that will be decided upon. We'll have a whole thing of it. Yeah. But anyway, the loser, whoever raises the least amount, has to shave their beard. If you know Daniel from Live Pixel Create, he was on last week. We're both bald and bearded.
The same
and
like hairstyle, I guess.
So apparently there's a competition. I do not want to shave. So please help me. He's going to be wearing a shirt. If you want to see John shave, put $1 in it. I'm just going to save this beard. She doesn't like it. I love it. Save this beard. So we're doing dollar donations. Now, I don't think we're limiting how many times you can donate. but dollar donations.
It's $1.
It's
if you want
all-
to do 20,
Yes.
$1, like
Yes.
yeah.
And then at the recording, right?
I think so, or soon after. We'll figure out.
We're trying to figure
the
out
logistics
when,
of
yes,
everything.
when
I had
we'll shave or how,
ChatGPT help me
Yes.
make a
So
little
it might be-
representation for the graphics.
It might be during our recording there.
Mm-hmm.
It might be after.
Yeah.
Don't know, but if you're going to next level, you see me, ask for the bucket, put $1 in, help save this beard.
Are you guys going to be raising funds up until then? We got to see if we can make that happen too.
I don't know. From what we talked about, it was like an in-person thing.
Okay.
Not over the whole span. It's like an in-person. If you're going to next level,
that's true, because then we don't have to
man
man it in between now.
Right.
We'll just talk about it and tell people to bring their stripper ones.
Exactly. Yes. So yes, help save this beard.
There was beard.
Something else I wanted to say and I forgot what it was. Oh, yes, I know what it is. If you're a patron, because this goes out to everybody, if you're a patron member, thanks for bearing with me. It's been a couple of crazy days, crazy weeks. While we were in Colorado, I couldn't get the episode up for our patrons, who was before Daniel? Megan, yes.
Yeah.
That was like last minute. I was uploading while we were there. I think it finally went up on like Monday.
Yeah. Well, and then with the ribbon cutting and the open house.
Yes.
And then our internet went out. An animal chewed through it or something.
Our fiber.
So it's been,
So Daniel's
we're doing the best
episode-
we can, but we're going to get back to normal.
So Daniel's episode also went out a little bit later. Thank you guys for hanging with us. We hope to be back to normal.
Yes.
Back to normal programming.
Yes.
And with that, it's been another great episode of the Ride Back Black Project with Crystal and John.
Bye.
Maybe we're all done. The Funny Black Project. Bye.
Say bye.
Bye.
Wait, hold on. Nino, I'm recording.